Hey everybody, Jorge here reviewing The Circle by Dave Eggers and the movie alongside the movie adaptation. The movie was directed by James Ponsoldt. It starred Emma Watson, Tom Hanks, and John Boyega as the main ones. On the side, they had Karen Gillan as Annie, who I thought was the second most important character behind, third most important character behind um, Emma Watson and Eamon Bailey or Tom Hanks. John Boyega was in the movie. He didn't have that much of a solid role. He had a good role. It wasn't really solidified, and it was because of his lines. He did a good job. I thought he did a good job for what he presented. I gotta say that I might have some issues with you know the linear plot of the movie because I understood the movie completely up to the point where it got to the end where they changed the ending of it. And even then, I thought, what if I didn't read the book? Would I have understood what was going on in the movie? And I think I have to say no. So in that regard, I think that not my perception, it's just, I might have some like medical issues with, continuity in terms of, following the gist of the movie and what is generally going on. I think a normal viewer that is not me, would probably watch the movie and understood everything that's going on with the movie, and I'm not one of those. So, I want to make a comparison. I'm going to talk about the book first, and then I'm going to talk about the movie, and then I'm going to talk about both. So, the book was really good. I thought it was 500 pages long. It was really long. I bought it for $10. $10. So I got it for cheap. I got it at Costco. They had it for sale since the movie was out, and I took advantage of the situation, and I bought the book. And I wanted to watch the movie because I saw the review by Jeremy Jans, and it's not every day. It's not all. I don't like all the reviews he makes. Not because of him making them, but because of the movies that he's covering. I don't like the topic. I don't like the movie, and Dave Eggers is someone that I've already read. I read Zaytoon, and I love Zaytoon, and I love his simplistic style. He has a very simple style of writing. He is masterful. Like, he's a master writer because he can make something very profound out of writing very simple dialogue. He's a very understandable writer. He does not have many issues with, being understood because his writing is crystal clear and he's not elitist or complicated in any way in terms of prose instead of in terms of the actual writing. But the ideas that he conveys are quite complicated, quite complex. I thought May was a very central character. She had a lot of presence. Eamon had a lot of presence. The idea that transparency in the world is important for us to reach, new plateaus as human beings was convincing in the book. It made it seem like it was an ideal to strive for. It succeeded in arguing that was the main point, and that it was a good point to make. I thought that the characters were very well developed. The dialogue was really good. One point that really confused me was the shark. There's a shark in the book that doesn't come out in the movie, and he's a pet, and I just thought it was very interesting and it's interesting because he's kind of like the antithesis to everything that's going on in the book, and I found that really strange because you want to show that the nature is on your side and that you can control nature. I think human beings can control nature in terms of them, I don't know, like you work with nature, and that can make it. Obviously there's a whole global warming thing that's going on that's working against us as human beings, and might have terrible repercussions. Maybe not 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, but maybe in 1,000 years, we will start to see the negative effects of global warming really, really decimate the population. And that's what I think global warming's the scare of global warming. So I don't know, just like working with an animal like a dog and having a pet dog and really taking care of it, you can really conquer nature in a sense. Not that you conquer the animal, the dog, but when you make it your friend, it becomes you in a sense have some autonomy over it. And it's not that you're gonna abuse it, but you have control, and you work with it. Not just it's not only that you're having control. It's just that you work with it, and um, the book didn't, it didn't. There's a scene where the shark eats everything, and it's blind. And this is interesting because uh, transparency, the way that they achieve transparency for everybody is through cameras. They use cameras um, to learn to become transparent, and yet this shark is blind. And I thought that was very interesting. And I thought, what does that represent? Does it represent the company? Does it represent May? Does it represent Eamon? Does it represent Mercer? Does it represent Stanton? I don't know, who does it represent. I mean, I can make points for all of them, and they could all be the one. And in a sense, it becomes meaningless. Who it really is a shark, it doesn't matter. What does matter is what you think the shark is, not what the author thought the shark was or what he intended. Authorial intent, my ass on this one. I don't think it really matters. I think you as a reader make your own. I thought it was the circle. I thought the shark was a circle because the nature was trying to tell humanity that the circle was blind in its ambition. It became blind through its ambition, and it ate everything up because it even it was more powerful than the government itself, and so it ate everybody up. And it's just a giant corporation taking over everything else, and like that's the and but it's disguised as this very fluffy, oh, transparency is good, our cause is just, so therefore we can do whatever the fuck we want, including eating up all our competition. But anyways, the only problem I have with Stanton, and it seems like Ty, he is pointing towards Stanton, and I just don't think it was him because he's not the main guy. Eamon is the main guy, and I was like confused. But anyways, moving on to the movie, I thought that the movie was really good. I thought the pacing was like lightning speed. It made me think about, it was just super fast. And Emma Watson did a good job. The directing was pretty good. The one thing I will say about the movie is that it didn't really convince me that transparency was such a big deal as it was in the book. I know I would say that I would cover the comparison between the two later, but it's inevitable in this one. It did not solidify transparency in the movie that well. I don't think it did a good job in that sense. It really did miss that aspect. Like the whole goal of the movie is transparency, and yet it made it seem like it was a contrived argument. The movie is trying to convince you of something, guys. A movie tries to convince you of something. Even popular movies, popular culture, even Hollywood movies that are supposedly meant to entertain you only. It's bullshit. It's all, corporate for, we have an underlying agenda that we don't want you to know about, but we just call it simply entertainment for now. And I don't know. I just thought the movie didn't do a good job of convincing you that transparency was a good thing. I forgot what the term for it is in the book and in the movie, but it doesn't really matter. But the point is that they're trying to go transparent, and they're trying to get politicians to become transparent so that they can end corruption and create a better society. But um, I was never convinced. And to to roll off of that, I thought Tom Hanks did an amazing job. Amazing job. He did an amazing job. He was so confident. He really portrayed the CEO, executive really well. He had this certain flair. He brought a lot of naturalness to the movie. He made it seem very natural. He counterbalanced Emma Watson's character really well because he kept her in check. And just like in the movie where Eamon keeps May in check, but May seems to have more autonomy in the book than May does in the movie. But Tom Hanks did a really good job. Okay, so for the comparisons, I gotta say 500 pages is a lot of pages, guys. A lot of pages. And it was the book made a better job of convincing, of creating an argument that's saying that transparency is a good thing, and the movie did not do a good job of doing that. Sadly, that's so sad. That's the main point of the movie. So this is kind of a big deal. I don't want to say that the book is better than the movie because, in a sense, I have to say that it was better than the movie, and it's not always the case that. I just think, when people say the book is better than the movie, they're not thinking that the movie is not trying to be like the book. It's not trying to paint the image that you have of the book in film. It's not trying to create the reader experience into a movie. It's not trying to do that. It's trying to create a movie based on the book itself. It's not trying to emulate an experience. It's trying to create its own argument. It's trying to make its own point. The movie's trying to make its own point, and the book makes its own point. Now, what didn't bug me about this movie was that Dave Eggers was one of the main writers. He was a screenplay writer, along with the director who also co-wrote it with Dave Eggers. That's what was important to me, that Dave Eggers took part in it. This is a big deal because he had creative control over, to a certain extent, because movies are really highly corporatized products that it's all about creating an image, and even if the writer himself writes the damn screenplay, he still had to follow guidelines that weren't his, and he wrote the damn book, so I thought that the main point of the movie was transparency, and the movie didn't do a good job of highlighting that. And I was really surprised because when I came in, this hit me at the end of the movie. When I saw the very end clip, I was like, the whole time you were trying to talk about transparency and you didn't nail the main point that you had to make, which was that transparency was important. It didn't seem that way. It seemed like it was more about May, and it was trying to, in a corporate sense, the corporate world said May has to be the main character, and she has to really come alive in the movie. It's more important that she become the main character than make the point that transparency is important. And Eamon or Tom Hanks was her cushion. She fell back. She relied on him to make her look good. And that's, I think, the main point that the corporate world was trying to impose on this movie. That May was the main character. And she was the main character by far. She had the most screen time. We really got to know her as a character. We got to know her mind. She spoke her mind. She spoke her thoughts. It wasn't just like dialogue where she's trying to become a member of the company that she's working in. No, we get to know what she's feeling about what she's going through. So, yeah, that's my review of the book. Of both of them, I thought the book did a better job of highlighting transparency. The movie did a better job of highlighting May as a character. I don't think that I really don't think that the book was necessarily better than the movie because, hello, the movie is not trying to be the book. It's not. It's an opportunity for filmmakers to put their own spin on the book, and it's not always what you want. And many times, they're trying to hit corporate points as well, and that's why it's still a product that it's a product that they have to make and they have to meet quotas, and it's not necessarily about maintaining fidelity to the book. And is that a good thing? No, but that's how it's a product. They have to make money, and the bottom line is money. And we do have to talk about values, though. What are our values when we try to make money? But Hollywood and Harry Potter, and it's very strange because Harry Potter was like probably the book adaptation, the film adaptation that started it all for books. Because once Harry Potter took over, everybody started making book adaptation, film adaptations based on books. And I find it interesting that Emma Watson, Mrs. Hermione Granger, made another book adaptation. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.